श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः सभाये Muslaya garu and all the elders in this august audience, my sincere pranams to all of you and my blessings and good wishes to the young students who are aspiring to be part of the growth development story of this great nation Bharat. Friends, there is a philosopher by name George Santayana who said, "Those who ignore history are condemned to repeat it." Those who ignore history are condemned to repeat it. If we ignore our history, we will have the ignominious situation of having to relive the whole pain all over again. The pain that this nation has gone through has not been spoken and the last word has not been spoken. Today we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the transfer of power. The British transferred the power to the Indian leadership and left this country. We are celebrating this as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav or Swaraj 75. Please understand, not everybody who struggled in those days fought for the freedom of this country. They fought for many things which start with the word Swa. Swarajya, yes. Swabhiman, Swadharma. So these things were more important to them as well. People speak about somebody like Chakali Ailamma. She was not fighting for the liberation of this particular state from Nizam's rule. No. She struggled for atrocities done to her. The land that was confiscated illegally from her, for her Swadharma, for her own Swabhimana, she fought. Similarly, what P. Narasimha Rao ji did or what others did for fighting for the Telugu language, it is for the Swabhimana of this land. So that is the struggle, the story of which has not been told. The earlier generation probably, they are victims of the political machinations that happened. Probably they have recorded some, they could not record some. Their primary struggle in the first 30-40 years of this nation, new nation, was economic sustenance and economic independence. But your generation is free from all that. They did not have the means to know the information. Technology was not in their hands. They had to go struggle, look at the information in libraries, in archives, in sources which are not so easily accessible in those days. Whereas you are privy to information at the click of a button. I'm sure it doesn't contain all the information, but it does contain huge amount of information. Can we start from there at least? You won't see any video which speaks about a great freedom movement or a leader who has fought for this country. You would see views of maybe 5,000, 10,000 people viewing it. Just imagine one song of Pushpa running into millions of views. What do you gain? Can any of you tell me what was the number one hit song, let's say 2016? You don't remember. You don't even remember what happened in 2020. 1 year, 2 years down the line, you want to forget it. But these are the people who gave you here today. And yet, we do not have the gratitude to remember them. Just imagine the story of Alwala Bal Reddy. It's such inspirational just to read the kind of things that he has done in his life. He started off as a communist and he ended up saving, protecting the Hindu girls who were kidnapped and converted and abused by their Apathis. He brought them back to the Hindu fold and he gave them right. Kotli, Bimbargali, Muzaffarabad, all these areas are now under Mirpur, all these people are under Pakistani occupation, but they are legal territory of Bharat. On Diwali day of 1947, the Pakistani army in the garb of raiders, invaded a town called Rajouri. I urge all of you to kindly visit these places, the border areas of Bharat, to really understand how this history has happened. There is a tower there called Balidan Bhavan. I struggled to locate this particular place when I went to Rajouri. You ask anybody, nobody knew about this Balidan Bhavan. But it is a 5-story building in the middle of the town. Anybody can see it, but nobody knows it, especially the younger generation. Nobody had a clue of what Balidan Bhavan was all about. But when I go into the Balidan Bhavan, it was locked. I waited till 2:30 in the afternoon when old ladies used to, they come there and do bhajan. When these ladies came, they opened the door and I saw a photograph and tears started rolling from my eyes. Even now I feel very choked. It is a photograph of a heap of bones. Heap of skulls and bones of 30,000 Hindus massacred on Diwali day. Can you imagine the plight of our girls in Hyderabad who have been taken away by attackers? Just imagine what Alwala Bal Reddy did for them. To bring them back, to give them protection, who are abused, giving them a life, getting them married to Hindu families, Hindu men, and then giving them a new fresh lease of life. Just imagine one girl being protected. This is the pain that this country has gone. And but for people like Bal Reddy, we would have today in Mirpur, in fact, Jammu citizens celebrate observe what is called as Mirpur Day. The day when Mirpur was occupied by the Pakistani forces and slaughtered, manslaughter happened in that particular place. We are so lucky today. Why? Because there was somebody who fought for the grace, for the Swatman of this land and of the people. These stories need to be told. Correct. And this town was recaptured only on Baishakhi Day. So you can imagine for 3 months this was under the occupation of the Pakistani forces. You listen to the stories of these elderly women, they were children in those days. Their men were out and they were killed. They are not going to come back. And they did not want to fall into the hands of the Pakistanis. So what did they do? They had nothing in the house to kill themselves. Some women just smashed a glass bottle and ate the glass pieces to die. Can you imagine the pain? Does the current generation even know about this? And the saddest part is even people in Rajouri youngsters do not know. That is the tragedy of our education system. You are all from political science department. The father of political science is Chanakya. Does Chanakya even have a mention in our books? Or at least not till now. Maybe now we have slowly started opening up. And when Madam was talking, I heard her saying they were struggling to find out whether this program should be held under the history department or under the political science department. Chanakya used the term Artha Shastra. It is neither finance, nor administration, nor political science. It's a mixture of all. Why are we compartmentalizing it? It doesn't matter what we are, but we are all first RPS. Whatever the subject we are talking about, there is nothing which is independent of the other subjects. It's a combination. So was Bal Reddy. He was a social activist. He was a freedom fighter. He was Arya Samaji, Sanatani, was protecting Vedas. So multifaceted personality. And he was a politician. He represented the people. If the Nizam could ban his speech and his writings, you can imagine how powerful he was. That itself is a certificate of greatness of this great man. Now, why doesn't he get mentioned in our books? I studied best part of my schooling. I did my schooling from Warangal. All my 10 years of schooling I did from Warangal. In 10 years of my schooling, I never heard a single freedom fighter from my land, Telangana. I never knew what is the greatness of Bhavitiyas. I never knew the greatness of Rudramadevi, of Pratapurudha. There was a show, a natika, a play, drama, which was done by Surabhi Arts. And in fact, Surabhi don't even remember they did it. This was way back in 77, 78, I'm talking about. Pratap. In that, they speak about the greatness of this Prime Minister and the way it's a fictional story, but how to bring him back from the clutches of the Delhi Sultanate. That is when it inspired me to know about my own people. I was living in Warangal. I knew nothing about it. This is the tragedy that has been unleashed on all of us. The kind of junk that has been dumped into our brains. All our universities and colleges are certificate manufacturing industries. We do not produce people who are literate, who are educated. We are just producing certificates. This is the tragedy. What do you do at the end of 3 years, of 2 years, 3 years of your graduation? You go sell credit cards or you go sell cosmetics, right? What is the subject you learned and what do you end up doing? So please understand, you need to contribute something back. You need to learn something. You are not mugging up things and regurgitating it. What do? Do your original research. Go back to people like the family of Bal Reddy. Go back to the families of every village and town of this particular place. Collect the evidence that is available. 5-6 of you can join together, form a small group, and then you can do it. You don't need to worry about funding or anything like that. It's just a voluntary effort. You can do it. Create the database. Go on, produce this, and start discussing about them. Start bringing out papers on them. I'm sure the academic circle, the college, the university, the departments would join hands with you and try to help you out. After a certain time, it takes time for them, but they will join you. But you take the initiative. Don't be memorizing machines. Go back and look at your roots. Look at the way this country evolved, the way we have got this freedom. Today we are not what we are, but for these people who sacrificed their past. But for Ratnamma, the wife of Bal Reddy would not have done what he has done. The greatness of that woman, the greatness of her support, that all these things get ignored. Over a period of time, who are our icons? Who are our women icons? You know it, I don't have to say that. I don't want to get into that debate. People who challenge the system, people who want liberty with no responsibility. March 8th is Women's Day. What are we celebrating that for? Being irresponsible? Please understand, these are the things which our forefathers have left behind. He struggled for the liberation of women who have been exploited, who have been converted to Islam and exploited. He struggled for the upliftment of the downtrodden. He gave Vedas to the most junior-most strata of the society. Can we learn something? Can we emulate at least part of what he has done? I think the best, the family is struggling to collect the evidence. Just imagine, why should the family be struggling? Does the Gandhi family struggle for it? Does the Nehru family struggle for it? Why should the family of Bal Reddy be struggling for it? Does Bal Reddy belong only to the family? Bal Reddy belongs to all of us. Why do we even tag our leaders with their caste? Why do we call Chakali Ailamma? Is Chakali Ailamma only a leader of Chakali community? This is the problem. Why don't we call Gandhi Bania or something like that? Or Bania Patel? Right? This narrative is picking up in the society. We are trying to divide ourselves and our leadership based on caste and community. We take inspiration from them. But please understand, everybody is human. Nobody is going to be perfect. Gandhiji was not perfect. Nehruji was not perfect. Patelji was not perfect. You can pick and choose and say, he made this mistake. That's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. But the struggle that they have, sacrifices they have given, the kind of focus they gave for restoring the glory of Bharat, for restoring the Swabhiman of this Bharat is something which we all should bow our heads down in respect for them. Today I am really honored to have spoken about a great man like Bal Reddy ji and his contribution in the struggle, which sadly doesn't get mentioned in any academic circles. We hope that Bal Reddy ji gets his due place in history and he is well researched, not just by his family, by the academic circles and the younger generation, and to give his due what he richly deserves. And Arya Samaj, to which he belonged, was a great force in those days. Today, unfortunately, we know it is, we only see elders sitting in Arya Samaj, but the youngsters are probably trying to abuse it. Only if it is a marriage of rebellion, they go there for marriage. Otherwise, we don't even talk about Arya Samaj. Whereas Arya Samaj revived the whole Vedic concept, our traditions, our culture, so many things they did. Organizations come and go, but the glory of Bharat should remain. And people like Bal Reddy shall always be the beacon of our struggle. They will be guides and they will be the gurus for us for generations to come. And I hope that the next generation emulates his example, learn from him, revive his great memory, and pay rich tributes that are due to him. At least from now on, the Amrit Mahotsav should be the beginning of revival of all these forgotten unsung heroes. Namaste.